Hello, my name is Roderick Bloom, and this morning I will present to you Genesis of Genesis, the patron saint of patrons. Fellow thespians, there should be no doubt in your mind that theater is linked in many different ways to religion, each religion having their own history and opinions on the practice. For example, Christianity, and particularly the Roman Catholic Church, in its early years condemned the theater for its risque practices. I will address both sides of the argument of the factual existence of Genesis of Rome, the Roman Catholic saint of the theater. I will, with my presentation, tell you the evidence of Genesis of Rome and his historical existence. Let me reiterate, the Catholic Church still recognizes him as the patron saint of theater and actors. Genesis is said to have had a radical conversion to the Christian faith in the 3rd century while doing a stage performance satirizing Christianity. This conversion ultimately led to his death when he became a Christian martyr, almost guaranteeing him a spot as a saint. He was beatified in 1741 Common Era, and the Catholic Church celebrates his feast day on August 25th, which he shares with 2 other saints that are believed to be the same person, even though they have different geographical locations, different occupations, and different dates of martyrdom. One explanation of this is that after he was beheaded, his head was miraculously transported in the hands of angels to another location. This explains the 2 cults that began in different separate locations. Quote, according to most accounts, Genesis was not only an actor, but also the equivalent of the director of the troupe of actors. End quote, says Marie Anne Fries-Witt, who received her PhD in comparative literature at Harvard and has been teaching literature and foreign language since 1969. But those accounts are only legend. Quote, the very existence of Saint Genesis is called into question by the Catholic Encyclopedia. End quote. Also by the same author. There have been multiple plays written about his martyrdom. The accounts are most of what people think they know about Genesis. But ultimately, any of these, quote, details of the Genesis story cannot be verified. End quote, says Dan Clawthorne, professor of theater at St. Mary's College in California. One thing we do have is evidence of Christians being martyred in the Roman Empire. Around the time, there aren't non-Christian historians who have written about Genesis, and moreover, there are no contemporary accounts of him. We also know that the earliest known sign of Genesis is the appearance of icons depicting him as early as the 4th century Common Era. But these are indistinguishable from icons of the other 2 saints that I mentioned earlier. But why is he important? After the fall of the Roman Empire, the Catholic Church made a decree that theater was banned. This ban was all-encompassing, including horse races, gladiatorial combat, and everything else. And it was everything that was in the vast domain of the Christian Church, because of the extreme scenes depicted on stage. It wasn't until the early Middle Ages that the ban was lifted. In the interim, a sort of religious theater developed. This is why the Catholic Church canonized Genesis. He was a way to show the Church's gradual acceptance of theater back into society. Saints are often used as political tools in the modern day and even more so during the corrupt years of the Catholic Church. Often a pope would canonize people for money and for their own political gain. For example, a saint that has fallen under scrutiny is Saint Christopher, known to most as the patron saint of travelers. He is also said to have ferried travelers across the river to serve Christ until one day Christ actually shows up. In recent times, Saint Christopher has been proven to have never existed. He was only recognized because a large faction of the Roman Catholic Church all venerated him. Why is it important that he is who he says he is? Scholar Barbara Shermika a professor of Spanish literature at Queen's College, quote, "His iconic martyrdom is inexorable from the vocation as an actor," end quote. That is to say that if Genesis is not the exact person he is said to be, he does not fit where he is needed in history. If he is not an actor, as for the other two saints he is mistaken for, he cannot be the saint of the theater. If he is not martyred, then he would be just an ordinary Christian actor. If he didn't have a dramatic conversion, he isn't a Christian.